Hi guys, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Lisa.
And welcome to the next chapter in the Book of the Dead, brought to you by Darkcast Network, indie podcasts with a twist. Hello. Welcome to the next chapter in the Book of the Dead. The story I have for you today is about forbidden love and the lengths someone would go to get what they want. A story where the perpetrators were likened to a twisted version of Romeo and Juliet. As most of you know, having probably read the famous Shakespeare play in school, Romeo and Juliet, star-crossed lovers, took their own lives to be together. They were from rival families and their love was forbidden, so they took matters into their own hands. Like Romeo and Juliet, the lovers in this story were prohibited from being together, and they took drastic measures to change this. This is the murder of Joanne Witt. Joanne Witt was born in Santa Clara, California, to Norb and Judy Witt on January 25, 1962. She was described as a gourmet chef and a devoted friend. Norb said, quote, "She never had a bad word to say about anybody." She was one of 4 children in the Witt household. She had 2 brothers and a sister. And when she was in her 30s, she became a single mother raising a daughter she named Tyler in El Dorado Hills, California. Now, El Dorado Hills is a suburb of Sacramento, California, with a population of over 50,000. It reportedly has a low crime rate, which draws a lot of appeal, and it's also very expensive. According to Payscale.com, the housing expenses are 147% higher than the national average, and utilities are 12% higher. Transportation fare, like buses and gas, are 22% higher, and the cost of groceries is 8% higher. Obviously, to live in an area like this, one needs to have a good job, and Joanne did. She had a master's degree in mechanical engineering and worked as an engineer for El Dorado County. According to ABC News, she and the father of her child broke up while Joanne was still pregnant with Tyler, and she raised her by herself. Joanne and Tyler lived in a gated community, and Joanne provided Tyler with as many opportunities as she could, like acting classes and writing lessons and taking Tyler on various trips. Tyler told 2020 how her mom was a skilled cook and very much a tomboy, as well as an accomplished engineer. Tyler said, quote, "She was a lot like a dad. What other mom catches snakes and lizards and puts them into an aquarium? I don't think I ever appreciated what my mom did for me. When you were a kid, the only thing that you see are parents doing stuff for you and then punishing you." Now, Joanne and Tyler did have a tumultuous relationship, beginning from very early on when Tyler was in preschool. She had shown up to class with suspicious bruises, and according to what Joanne's sister Mary told ABC, Joanne admitted to getting angry while driving Tyler to school and pulled over, dragging Tyler from the car, smacking her and hitting Tyler with a belt. This was reported, and Tyler was removed from Joanne's care while she was ordered to attend anger management classes. Joanne completed the classes and vowed that it would never happen again. It never did, but Tyler and Joanne's relationship continued to suffer as Tyler grew into a teenager. Tyler claims this was due to a secret drinking problem that Joanne had, but I couldn't substantiate that. What I can tell you is that reportedly Joanne was trying really hard, but parents and children argue, and many of these arguments stemmed from Tyler wanting to know who her father was. Joanne wouldn't tell her, and Mary claimed it was because Joanne didn't want him in their lives. However, according to Joanne's friend Roxanne Jurgite, Joanne lived in fear of disciplining Tyler too strongly in the event Tyler would call CPS. Tyler apparently took advantage of this fear and would make veiled threats about calling if her mom told her no when she wanted to do something. In December of 2008, Joanne was 47 and Tyler was 14 when she started spending time at a local coffee shop, according to Medium.com. At this coffee shop is where Tyler met 19-year-old Steven Colver. Steven had just started at the local community college. He dressed in black, gothic clothing, and Tyler was completely enamored by him. They started talking almost every day, and before long, they had entered into a sexual relationship, something that Tyler hid from Joanne. To her mother, who was concerned about the possibility of Tyler dating Steven given their age gap, Tyler said they were just good friends. He was like a big brother to her. She also told Joanne that Steven, who went by the nickname Boston, was gay. Now, Joanne seemed to believe her daughter, even though others in their lives had their reservations, but Tyler continued to see him, saying that he was a great listener and he was there for her. Quote, "I had had a really bad day. I called him up and said I just needed someone to talk to. He would come by my house and we would just talk." But Steven was also introducing Tyler to things that were dangerous. According to Joanne's father, Norb, he told ABC, quote, "He had a 14-year-old that looked at him as a god. I mean, he had total control over her. We knew that drugs were involved. They were into marijuana, ecstasy, cocaine. What does that do to someone's mind?" A few months into their relationship, in March or April of 2009, Joanne was looking for someone to rent a room in her house to help with the mortgage payment, and Tyler suggested that Steven be the one to move in. Now, according to all sources, everyone in Joanne's life told her that Steven moving in was a very bad idea. Norb said, quote, "No one, every friend she had, everyone in the family did not want him in there, but Joanne was very strong-willed." So, Steven moved in. Joanne said that he could be there to help Tyler with her homework, and he would be paying $500 a month in rent to help out with the mortgage. However, Joanne would soon grow suspicious about Tyler and Steven's relationship, noticing that they were far closer than she had anticipated. On May 14th, according to Medium, Joanne went looking for Tyler in the house, but couldn't find her, so she knocked on Steven's door. After a few minutes, Steven opened the door. He was shirtless, and in the closet, naked, was Tyler, hiding and covering herself with her discarded clothing. Joanne immediately decided that Steven needed to go, so she called up 2 of her coworkers to help get Steven out of the house. Vinnie Capitano told ABC, quote, "She said she was going to kick Steven out and she didn't want to be there alone." So Vinnie and the other coworker came and brought all of Steven's belongings to the curb. Vinnie said, quote, "The first thing I said to him is if it was me, you'd be in jail right now." Joanne did want to call the cops, mind you, but Tyler begged her not to. Joanne told Steven that she wouldn't if he cut all contact with her daughter. And Vinnie said, in an effort to intimidate Steven into leaving Tyler alone, quote, "You know, if you make contact with Tyler again, either by phone or in person, I'm going to hurt you. And I'm going to hurt you East Coast style, not West Coast style." But Steven was unfazed by threats of bodily harm or the police because he and Tyler continued to see each other while Joanne was working or late at night while Joanne was asleep. A few days after the discovery of their relationship, Tyler disappeared to a friend's house, and Joanne, in a panic, called the police and told them about what had happened with Steven. When Tyler was found later that day, police questioned her about having a sexual relationship with Steven, but she denied it. According to Medium, she admitted being in his room without clothes on, but she claimed she was trying on different outfits to get his opinion when her mom walked in. It was just a misunderstanding. Police pulled Steven into the station to speak to him as well, but his story was the same as Tyler's. Lacking proof, the police let Tyler go back home and nothing happened regarding an arrest. After this incident with the police, Tyler and Joanne's relationship continued to deteriorate. She was still talking to and seeing Steven behind Joanne's back, and Joanne was frustrated with her daughter's rebellion. This led to explosive arguments between the two, and Tyler started making claims to CPS that Joanne was beating her, but there was never any evidence to prove that. No bruises, no marks, nothing. At some point, the police are called by Tyler pretending to be Joanne, saying that her daughter had assaulted her, hoping the police would remove her from her mother's custody, because in Tyler's mind, being in juvie was better than being with her mom. Now, Joanne did get on the phone trying to explain the situation and told the dispatcher that she didn't know she was safe in her home, as Tyler had started throwing things at her, and that she had in fact attacked Joanne. She had a cut on her chin and bruises on her arm. So Tyler was placed in a juvenile detention center, but ultimately released when Joanne decided not to press charges. The situation would escalate, however, when Joanne found Tyler's diary in June of 2009. In the diary, Tyler, much to Joanne's horror, had written a detailed account of all of her sexual encounters with Steven. It was cold, hard proof that Steven had committed statutory rape. In the diary, Tyler also had written multiple times that she wished death on her mother for trying to keep Steven away. Something that she had also told her friends as well. Joanne brought the diary to the police and showed them the evidence they needed to arrest Steven. Now, to give you an understanding of the age of consent laws and statutory rape in California, because it's different depending on where you live, I'll give you a quick rundown. According to GoodLandLaw.com, the age of consent in California is 18 years old, meaning that someone under the age of 18 is considered a minor and cannot consent to sexual activity. A person engaging in sexual acts with someone under 18 can be charged with statutory rape. Now, statutory rape is defined as a criminal offense that occurs when someone engages in sexual activity with someone under the age of 18, regardless of whether or not the minor consents. The consequences vary depending on the degree of the charge. If an adult engages in sexual activity with a minor and there is less than a 3-year age gap, they will be charged with a misdemeanor, which carries a maximum sentence of 1 year in jail. If the minor is over 3 years younger, the charge can be a misdemeanor or a felony, and the felony conviction carries a jail term of 1 to 3 years. If the adult is 21 or older and the minor is 16 or younger, the adult will be charged with a felony, and the jail sentence can vary from 1 to 4 years. Now, again, these are statutory charges or consequences for statutory charges, which is different than sexual abuse relating to a child. They're two totally different things, which is why the sentence is not as harsh. Now, some people may hear this and go, they should be getting more, and it obviously would depend on the situation. But again, these are statutory charges. They're different. In Steven and Tyler's case, Steven was potentially looking at a felony charge, as Tyler was at minimum 4 years younger than him. But again, it could have been a misdemeanor. It really depended on what the prosecution wanted. Now, according to a witness named Roseanne Perez, who worked at Joni's Cafe and Grill in Shingle Springs, Tyler and Joanne came in for dinner on June 10th of 2009. According to Roseanne, she was so shocked by the look on Tyler's face when they walked in that she actually hesitated going up to them. According to an article for VillageLife.com, Roseanne said, quote, "It's something I'll never forget. It was a blank stare. I've waited on hundreds of thousands of people, but I have never seen a blank stare like that." Roseanne also overheard a conversation between the two where Joanne allegedly told Tyler that she had made a complaint against Steven for statutory rape. Quote, she said, "I want you to know I have filed statutory rape charges against him. You know he's in real trouble." But according to Roseanne, Tyler had no reaction to this. Quote, "It was as if her mom didn't exist. It's as if nothing existed." Although I will say that Tyler herself claimed that when she learned her mother had turned over her diary to the police, she completely freaked out. She said, according to ABC, quote, "I went into a full-blown panic attack, hyperventilating, screaming, shaking. Everything was in that diary. There was no way he was going to get out of the charges." Now, as I said, Roseanne claimed they came in on the 10th, but it is possible that Tyler learned about the charges prior to this day. Either way, she went to Steven and they tried to figure out what to do, including a Romeo and Juliet scenario. Now, this scenario meant that they were going to take their own lives in order to be together forever, but Steven said that that would be a last resort. However, Tyler insisted they were at the last resort. So Tyler came up with a plan for them to run away to San Francisco, drugging her mom so that Joanne would be delayed in calling the police looking for her. Late in the evening on June 11th, Tyler and Steven snuck away from Joanne's home and met up with one of Steven's friends named Matt Whitman. At Matt's house, Tyler and Steven dyed their hair black before leaving with Matt to meet up with more friends and buy drugs. After which, they went to Steven's father's house, which was empty as it had been put up for sale. While they were there, Steven and Tyler told Matt that Steven had killed Joanne. He claimed to have stabbed Joanne with a knife before sneaking Tyler out of the house. He even went to his car and produced the bloody knife as proof. According to Medium.com, Steven's father allegedly showed up at the house around this time. Now, it's possible that neighbors had called him saying someone was there, knowing that the house was empty, but I couldn't say for sure why he decided to go to the house or if that was even true. Either way, the three of them flee the home, dropped Matt off at his house, and Tyler and Steven drove off to San Francisco. It would be 3 days before anyone would learn about Joanne's fate. On June 15th, Norb and Judy Witt, Joanne's parents, had been home for just a few days after a 2-month cross-country trip in their RV when they got a call from Joanne's boss, who was very worried about her. According to Joanne's boss, she hadn't been to work on Friday, the 12th, nor did she show up that day, a Monday. That was odd enough because she was a very reliable employee, but what was even stranger was that Joanne had not called to inform her boss she wouldn't be coming in. Norb and Judy told her boss that they only lived 2 miles away, so they were going to drive right over to see if she was all right. But Joanne's boss said that he had already called the police to do a welfare check. He told Norb and Judy that Joanne had confided in her coworkers that she was having problems with Tyler, and they were very concerned. Norb told 48 Hours, quote, "I got in the car and got over there so fast. I think I was in a daze by the time I got there. There was 2 sheriff cars and 2 deputies out there walking around the house." Norb told police he could unlock the door for them, and he and Judy were told to wait outside while police had a look around. Soon enough, they came back and told them that Joanne was in her upstairs bedroom and she was dead. Norb said, quote, "They never said killed or murdered. They just said deceased. So we didn't know what was going on. But when the CSI van came in and we had probably 20 detectives working the place, we knew that she had been killed." During their investigation of the scene, Joanne's bedroom was in disarray. The sheets were thrown back and she was laying on top of the bed with her hands up in a defensive position. She had been covered with a sheet and she had sustained 20 stab wounds, one of which almost decapitated her. It was determined that Joanne had most likely been killed with a 10-inch chef's knife, the location of which they didn't know. All police knew was that it wasn't in the house. The next thing Norb and Judy were concerned with, though, was the whereabouts of their 14-year-old granddaughter. She was nowhere to be found, and they worried she had been kidnapped. However, pretty quickly, police set their sights on Tyler not as a victim, but as a suspect, as investigators learned about the ongoing investigation into Steven Colver for statutory rape charges submitted by Joanne. So now police are trying to figure out where they are. They put out a bolo and are letting police know in other counties to keep an eye out for Steven and Tyler, who are persons of interest in Joanne's murder. Meanwhile, in San Francisco, Steven and Tyler have checked into a Holiday Inn and sent Matt Whitman their suicide letters. They attempted to end their lives by eating cake and candy laced with rat poison, but they stopped before they could eat enough to cause their deaths. They tried other methods to end their lives and even contemplated jumping from the roof, but Tyler was too afraid of heights to go through with it. According to Medium.com, they soon ran out of ideas and instead got on a train to San Bruno. While there, they were spotted by police changing their clothes behind a mall and promptly arrested. Upon their arrest, Tyler insisted her mother was fine, and they both insisted they were innocent. But police had spoken to Matt Whitman, who gave police the suicide notes and told police about Steven, admitting to him that he had been the one to kill Joanne. Before long, Steven and Tyler had turned on each other, saying that the other was responsible. According to Steven, when he arrived at Joanne's home to get Tyler, Joanne was already dead, and that he lied about being the one to kill her to protect his girlfriend. According to Joanne Colver, Steven's mother, lying to protect someone he cared about was something he would do. She said, quote, "He would care about others before himself, to his detriment. Steven is the kind of guy who would dive off a cliff or jump in front of a bullet or run into a burning home for a friend." Steven claimed that Tyler had come to the door covered in blood, holding the knife she used to kill Joanne, but police never found any evidence of blood anywhere except in Joanne's bedroom. Additionally, police had found DNA evidence under Joanne's nails. While there wasn't enough to build a full profile to match to anybody, experts were able to conclude that the DNA came from a male. Now, Tyler was obviously telling a different story. According to her, Steven had shown up at her house with his own knife, although police believe they took one from the kitchen, before creeping up the stairs to Joanne's bedroom. When it was time to go in, Tyler refused and fell to the ground, covering her ears as Steven killed her mother. In the 2 years before the trial began, Tyler also allegedly took a polygraph, which she passed, but she was unable to remember which one of them came up with the idea to kill her mother. She was also not considered a credible witness, as she had lied various times to police before the murder about her relationship with Steven. A psychiatrist even claimed she was sociopathic. However, as the trial drew closer, Tyler, now 16, struck a deal with prosecution. She would testify against Steven, cooperate with police, and tell them where they had hidden the knife in exchange for a lesser sentence of second-degree murder. Now, police, even with Tyler's help, never found the murder weapon. She claimed she threw it down a storm drain, and it is believed the storms washed it away. During the trial, when asked why she had taken the plea deal, Tyler claimed she had found God and was compelled by him to tell the truth. During her testimony, she claimed they had both come up with the plan to stab Joanne and that they could use a knife from the home, but Steven said he would provide one. But when it came time to actually committing the murder, quote, "I couldn't do it. I couldn't go inside. I put my hands over my ears, closed my eyes, and hummed." She also admitted to lying about her relationship with Steven and revealed that she had frequently told her friends she wished her mother would die. During cross-examination, Tyler also told the court how she had a demon living inside of her named Toby and an angel named Alex. Quote, "3 souls in one body. Toby's very cold. She holds everyone in contempt." Tyler described how she would have done anything for Steven. Quote, "I trusted him more than anyone, and I loved him more than anybody or anything. If he told me to jump off a bridge and I asked him why, and he said, 'Just trust me,' I would have done it." Ultimately, in June of 2011, Steven Colver was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Joanne Witt. In response, Deputy District Attorney Lisette Suter said, quote, "Mr. Colver took the life of a person who took him in." adding that his apparent lack of remorse was enraging. And Judge Daniel Proud said, quote, "No person deserves to die in the manner that took place." For Tyler, she was sentenced to 15 years in prison for second-degree murder due to the plea agreement she took. Judge Proud told her, quote, "This was a brutal murder. The court has seen no emotion or even remorse for the loss of your mother. I'm sorry for you, Miss Witt, because the person who loved you most in this world and without reservation is gone." Tyler was not eligible for parole until last month, but she was apparently released in 2022 at the age of 28. The only information I could find of her now is that she seems to be going by the name Charlie. As for Steven, while his mother had said after sentencing they would appeal, it looks like it never happened because there hasn't been any updates on him since the trial concluded. This was a murder that didn't have to end the way it did. Tyler and Steven were so afraid that he would end up in jail for the rest of his life for statutory rape, but according to Lisette Suter, he most likely would have been charged with a misdemeanor and served a year at the most. Now Steven is serving life in prison for murder instead of the two of them just owning up to having an inappropriate relationship. Joanne's murder was senseless, and it's clear that she was simply trying to encourage her daughter to make smarter decisions about who she was entertaining a relationship with. But Tyler couldn't take no for an answer. And it seems as if Tyler's family, at least at the time of the trial, had completely dropped her, completely disowned her. In fact, Norb had refused to see her until the trial had even started, so for 2 years, because he couldn't look at her for what she had done to her mother. He did say in an interview with ABC that he had entertained the idea of forgiving Tyler, but he's not there yet. And it's hard for him to separate the idea of the granddaughter he knew and loved with the girl that had done this. And as for Jan, Steven's mother, she still insists he's innocent and that Tyler was the one to kill Joanne. But I think he was rightfully so the one that did it. And what put the nail in the coffin for him was admitting to Matt Widman that he had killed Joanne. The DNA under her fingernails definitely didn't help his case. There was no female DNA under there to indicate Tyler, only male. This was definitely a sad case, and it's a case where it should have turned out so differently if they had just been honest with what was going on, but they didn't want to get in trouble. And they made it so much worse. I appreciate you guys for listening as always, and keep an ear out for an episode that's going to drop with Yield Crime. I'm going to be on there. I have no idea when the episode's going to release on their platform. But yeah, I'm going to go hang out with Lindsay and do a little segment for them, and I'm very excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. In the meantime, I thank you for your patience. I know this episode was up later than it was supposed to be, but technology and me don't always get along. But it worked out in the end. So, as always, have a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next chapter of the Book of the Dead. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this chapter of the Book of the Dead. And don't forget that you can always connect with us on Instagram. You can connect with us on Twitter, and you can absolutely connect with us on Patreon. We also have a merch store as well that we have frequent discount codes coming out for, so that you guys can get merch hand-drawn by myself at a better cost.
We hope you have a lovely rest of your week. And just remember, please be kind.
And don't forget to always stay safe, stay curious, and stay vigilant. Bye, guys.
Bye.